Welcome back. It is day 8 and I think I'm like 25 hours in. So if you've been joining me along this journey of custom painting some Nike SB Dunk Lows into the HKS livery. So the inspiration for these shoes is the HKS livery, and they're actually designed by my husband. So it's a really cool collaboration with the two of us. So this is the original sneaker that he designed. And if you've been watching, about 25 hours to get the first shoe where it is today. So I finished that up last week. And then today I'm going to be starting on the other pair. Maybe it'll go a little bit faster, but thanks for being here. I'm kind of always trying new things. So yeah, let's get started. And I have my new camera angle because I've been told that that is maybe a little bit better. So before I get started, so I already prepped the shoe because the last time I worked on it, it's using chemicals, and so the smell was just too much. So I ended up doing it ahead of time off camera, outside in a really well ventilated area with fans blowing. I had my mask on and was just much safer this time. So it took me about a half hour to get the shoe prepped, but something that I want to point out is that I guess lesson learned. So let me remove, let me take these guys off really quick, just so we have a little bit more space to kind of see what's going on. So when I did this particular shoe, the first one, I pre-taped the sole so that way it just stayed really clean as I was prepping the shoe. On the second one, I did not do that, and it was fine. But if I do a side-by-side comparison on camera, you can kind of see a little bit that the stitching inside is very white where I taped it, and on the other shoe, it looks okay on camera, but it definitely has a little bit of a gray tinge to it. And this is because, again, I didn't tape it. So lesson learned, if you want it to stay crispy and white, please make sure that you are, please make sure that you're taping up your shoes. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna have probably the same thing happening on yours. That was a little bit of a dumb move. All right, well, let me get started as I go ahead and get this guy taped up. So again, it's taping the sole so that way I don't get any paint or anything like that on it. And then tonight, probably just getting the black on the shoe. If I can get through that tonight and get all the layers of black on, that will be good, and get that base going. So yeah, but the prep on this one went a lot faster. I want to say it could just be because it wasn't my first time working with this particular shoe. I just kind of knew that there was going to be a little bit more coming off in terms of the paint than the last time. So I think that is really what made it go much faster for me this time around. That, and I also wasn't getting super dizzy because I was much safer this time around. So I do think that that has something to do with it as well. Because when you're starting to breathe too many chemicals, your brain stops to function properly. I got a new playlist going on. It's a little bit more upbeat. It's now the evening time here. Normally I stream during the middle of the day, but I think today's a good example. Sometimes life kind of happens. So something came up earlier today that required attention. It was time sensitive, and that took precedent. So no matter how much I wanted to show up this afternoon, it just, sometimes life happens, and that's okay, because You know, we have to be flexible, right? We have to be flexible. I mean, I guess you don't have to be, but I've learned my lesson the hard way of not being flexible. It's cost me friendships, as well as it has cost me opportunity to not be flexible. So I really like the vinyl tape for taping up the sole, and I've mentioned this before. The reason why I like it is because, as you can see as I'm pulling it, it really wraps super beautifully around the sole, and you just don't get that with masking tape. So that is one of the reasons why I really like the wow, I'm gonna put a sweatshirt on because let me just a second, because I feel like my yeah, I feel like the camera's getting really black, blown out. So give me just chilly. I have the AC on because it's just unbearable without it. But then I have it sitting here blowing on me and it gets really cold. So I'll just throw the sweatshirt on. So yeah, I really like using the electrical tape for the sole, just because it does wrap so beautifully around everything. And this is that transition where it really is hard to keep bending it. So I end up usually just kind of not trying to make this section of the curve, because I never can get it all the way around without it buckling. So I usually end up just doing a couple pieces. It's like when you're learning to draw circles, there's learning to draw a simple elliptical, but a lot of times if you just do little dashes, you can make a really good circle too. I guess same concept when it comes to doing round things. And if you don't have my nails aren't super long, but I have enough of thumbnail happening that I'm just using my thumbnail to push the tape down. If you don't have that, you could use the back end of really anything blunt. The back end of an X-Acto knife, the back end of a spoon, whatever you've got lying around. On the Angelus YouTubes over the weekend, and there were some really good new videos and some good new customs. I definitely suggest going and checking it out. If you like watching customs, they had some new good ones. Kind of addicted to watching custom sneaker videos. They're so fun to watch. They're so fun to watch. Sorry, I have to chuckle because, I don't know, a couple months ago, it's really crazy because it's I just found him. But a couple months ago, I discovered the Brad Hall YouTube channel, and the dude's hilarious. In his newest video, he's making some Air Jordan 1s into some slip-ons. It's so ridiculous. It's awesome. I thought this would be difficult, but I have a sharp blade and I'm super strong, so it's not going to be a problem. The dude is brilliant. He really is brilliant, I say, brilliant. Okay. Let's see if I can get the heel in one swoop. And that, ladies and gents, how we do it. Where did that water come from? Okay, so I am taped up. I'm gonna put a little bit more there as I see white. This white that's here is, okay. When the second time you do something, it's always faster. Have you ever noticed that? Or like if you're driving somewhere, the way there always seems to take an eternity. But then when you're on your way home, it just goes so fast. So that is a really nice seam happening there on the heel. I'm really liking what that looks like. That looks really good. Yeah, and don't mind my fuzz. My hair's in a pony today. My hair's in a pony and I got like the frizz happening. It happens. Okay. So I'm ready to go ahead and start painting. So I'm using the Angelus black leather paint for the sneaker. A little bit goes a long way. I've got my blood. So the supplies I usually like is I always like to use a blotting cloth. I have my little tray, so that way I don't like to have the paint bottles open. Otherwise, I feel as though I'm gonna dry out the paint. And then I also have so I'm gonna use the 1.5 inch angled brush because it's the largest brush that I have and it lays down a decent amount of paint. In case I have smaller areas, I do have a, well, I don't know, I guess it's a 4. I don't know when they go from a 1/2 inch to others. So this is a 4 and then this is a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna mostly use the 1/2 inch, but I have the 4 as well. They're both angled and yeah. So I think I might try something new. What I'm gonna do today is I'm just going to maybe for a little while not have my video on and just kind of show the process of painting. So I'm just gonna try this today with the voiceover. Let me know if you like that. If you don't like that, let me know. And then I might also just put this here so that way, you know, it tells us what we're working on, but it also just, I think, gives a little bit more view because I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing now that I have this newer camera angle. So, all right, we're mixed up, the shoe's prepped, and when I say that it's prepped, I've used, I did a little bit of sanding this time around, and then I used, I didn't have the Angelus deglazer, so I just used acetone, but I just was really careful with it, and I didn't see that it burned any of the leather. You know, the leather feels good, the paint's been removed, any that's left is like just a little bit tacky, but because these are replicas, there definitely was like more paint on them. But But overall, the quality of leather of these replicas is really, really good, and I'm really happy with them. I know they're going to be wonderful to wear. A little bit of paint goes a long way, so I don't need a lot. I maybe just have a nickel size there. What is that, like a Euro size dollop of paint? And yeah, my water is really full. I don't ever need it this full, so I'm going to dump some out. Okay, and let's get started. If you are joining me, I'd love for you to say hi in the chat, ask me whatever questions you might have, whatever comments. I'm just really thankful that you're here. I started this channel really just as a way to show up and make stuff. I like to make a variety of things. I was actually just listening to a podcast today regarding like personal brands, and the gal that was being interviewed was just saying how, like, why do I have to define the niche that I'm in? Why can't I explore a bunch of things? Not that it's like you want to be a Jane or jack of all trades, master of none. But I just thought it was an interesting comment that they had, and it kind of just made me think a little bit. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I started this channel because I just want a reason to show up and make. I think sometimes I get in the I let life kind of take over sometimes, and I won't allow myself the opportunity to really work on the creative projects that I want to. So I guess this is a way for me to say, okay, if I start live streaming and I say I'm going to show up X amount of days a week to make stuff, that'll give me just a space to do that, time blocked out to do that, because I just feel a lot more fulfilled when I'm making stuff. And I don't want to pigeonhole what I'm going to make on this channel, because sometimes it might be these cool custom shoes, which is just like a fun side project that my husband and I do together. Sometimes it might be my artwork. If you tune in, yesterday I streamed taking photographs and some new self-portraits that I'm working on. So yeah, I feel like it encompasses everything. So if you yourself just like to be inspired by creatives, welcome. If you yourself are a creative and like making stuff, welcome. I encourage you to join along in my journey and maybe work on something yourself, whatever it might be. But if I can share how I do things and what I do, and it inspires one person to show up for themselves, maybe understand themselves better, work on a project, gain the courage to do something that they've never done before, but have wanted to, then to me it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. So I'm just doing really thin coats because you don't want to do too much on your first pass with the paint. It's gonna look, the black does really good coverage, but it is gonna look patchy at first. But one thing that I make sure I do is I make sure I get in any and all little grooves on the first pass. So I tend to load my paint up into those kind of areas and crevices. I just find that that's like the most effective way to move the paint around the sneaker when I do this. So I will, I'll come in here and get my brush and then pull the paint from that corner and then do the same thing, like really get it in the edge on the swoosh. That's at least the technique that I use. And it's been serving me well, as one of my dear friends likes to say. I'm liking this playlist. It's hi-fi instead of the lo-fi that I never really do. mentioned this on the first shoe. I really like when designs go up and over the leather. So I like to make sure that that has like a nice good base coat on it, because it does make the additional colors a little bit easier to go on up and over them. And because I'm doing black with black, I didn't paint the cloth liner, but let's say your cloth liner is a different color than what you're painting, either be really careful around that area or go ahead and use some masking tape and tape it up to really protect it. Otherwise, there's a really good chance you're gonna slip up and touch it with whatever color paint you're working on, even if you don't think you are. Well, that happens to me all the time. I'm also playing around with a different mic position because sometimes as a righty, my mic gets in the way. And then I know that it's a black leather, but I still want to hit the edge, just because I actually really like when this has like a high gloss to it. I like the way that like the light catches it, and I like the look of it. So that's a personal preference. If you want your seams, like the edges of where the leather connects, if you want it to have like that unfinished leather look, versus if you want it to have like a higher gloss with the paint. That is up to you. The creative decisions we get to make when we custom paint shoes. It's awesome. One of the great things about doing your own customs is you got an idea, make it happen for yourself. Make the shoe of your dreams. The heel is always fun to paint on camera because it's such like an awkward, shape paint, let alone trying to get it in frame. I think I mentioned I'm like about 25 hours in, so it might be like 50 hours for this set of shoe. I think my originals that I did a prototype on some Air Jordan 1s, I think they took me about 60 because I wasn't using stencils. I did everything by hand. So shaving off 10 hours is definitely better. But these HKSs are definitely labor intensive because I think just like the design itself is so labor intensive with stencils and the way that it wraps around all the different like areas of the shoe. So you can see like here on the heel, like this ledge right here, I really want to make sure because it has like a bit of purple. And I don't want that purple showing through because I don't want that to compete when I start putting the stencils on top. Something else I gotta get up in this area. Same thing with this particular ridge right here. I can go a little bit faster because I'm black on black over in this area, so if it hits the this a little bit, I'm not really concerned. I'm not dropping enough paint for it to build up or look funky or anything like that. So, definitely I will be done with these by next week. Which is gonna be awesome. I think I told this story before, but I've mentioned, so if anybody's joining didn't watch the very first one, I'll repeat the story because I think it's great. So again, like this is a collaboration with my husband. He is definitely the car encyclopedia between the two of us, and it's a funny story because we had already been together for 7 years. And he started a new job working at a game company, and they were working on a car game. And it turns out, I discovered, dude's like, he's an encyclopedia of cars. Dude can like look at a car and be like, oh yeah, that's such and such. It was made with such and such. This is why it was like really interesting. This was like the marketing campaign of it. Oh, this is what makes it special. Oh yeah, this was the type of engine and like how it differed from this one. And dude, it changed my relationship with cars because like I wasn't raised in a family that really had any sort of love or knowledge of cars, right? Like that is the one thing. I have a very handy family, very crafty family, very like handy dad, very crafty mom, lots of DIY stuff going on, but cars was never something that we worked on. Like I can personally lay drywall, like, put up drywall, lay flooring, like do basic plumbing. I can do all that stuff, but give me a car engine and I don't know what I'm looking at. So to then all of a sudden like realize that my husband was just like this huge wealth of knowledge, it really just changed for me. Like it allowed me into this world. It started to help me gain an appreciation of cars. I mean, I've always loved driving cars. But yeah, it just kind of took off. And so I definitely appreciate, racing and cars and just like car culture. And a lot of that comes from my husband, and I'm really thankful for that. I love actually going to car shows with him because it's like you just get so much information regarding everything you're looking at. It's so awesome. I don't know, I just think that's such a cute story of like, we don't always know, like we can be with somebody for a really long time and sometimes you just like don't know something about them because maybe it's a topic they haven't had a chance to like really talk about or, be engaged with, but then something comes along and it's like, oh yeah, I knew all this stuff. I asked my husband if there's anything about me that was the case, and he's like, well, actually, when you started doing these shoes, because he designed them, and he was like, hey, he's not, I mean, he wouldn't be horrible, but it might look like a 5-year-old did them. And he'll admit that, so that's totally okay. And if he jumps in the chat to correct me, well, there you go. He said he was really impressed when he saw like how I went about making these shoes that he had designed, because he knew like, oh, I'm an artist, I'm creative, like I do a lot of different things. but he had no idea I would be able to execute his vision so well. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I'm just curious, like, what's a funny story you have about somebody that you've known for a really long time, and all of a sudden they just surprise you out of the blue, and you're like, I did not know that about you at all. I'd love to know. And like I said, if you are joining, please, give me a hey in the chat. I'd love to know where you're joining from. Ask whatever questions you want. I'm always open to answering, whether it's on like what I'm doing, technique, something else. Let me know in the chit chat. Yeah. So I guess my love of cars kind of developed from there. That was, I don't know how many years ago. Do math in my head. It was a decent number of years ago. Over 10 years ago. And yeah, since then, like, my love of cars has really kind of continued to grow. I've gotten more comfortable in understanding cars. And I mentioned I like to drive. So in that vein, I actually, I didn't know how to drive manual until I turned 30, because I decided I want to learn how to drive manual. I knew the concept. I could do it in an emergency, but it's not something I really felt comfortable getting on like the normal streets with all the other drivers. So I decided, because I was at the time, I was able to afford my dream sports car, which was a 5-door Rally Blue WRX, the last year that they made it. And I love that car, but I did have to have seat warmers and a moonroof, because, driving with the moonroof open and a chilly night with those seat warmers on, that's like the best feeling ever. I love driving when it's cold outside and you have like the sunroof open, but like the heater on or like seat warmers on. It's just like this really satisfying, I had a friend call it like the icy cold. It's just very satisfying to me. Yeah, so I bought a WRX and learned how to drive it. So I drove it around the block from the dealership just to make sure, yes. And then my husband actually drove it home since it was LA traffic, and I did not want to be driving my new car in LA traffic, being worried about stalling out. We went and found like a business park, and I was able to practice like my shifting in and out of first and all of that. And then the next day, I drove myself to work. Anybody who worked with me, I was quite ecstatic in the morning. I was doing like a happy dance all day. Yeah, it's just like been really fun. Like, I'm really glad I did that. I mean, it was definitely scary. Don't get me wrong. On my way to work that day, I stalled out a couple times. Once on a bridge, and yeah, people honked, but it was fine. I survived. Nothing big. And I'm so glad I did, because since then it's just really opened up. Like, I think for me, like, learning how to drive manual helped me understand, like, oh, this is what happens when you shift, and this is why you want to shift. And it just got me more interested in like how to drive and control a car. And we have friends who go to the racetrack and race and stuff like that. And so the first time, I think I'd had like the WRX for maybe like 6 or 9 months, somewhere in there. It was less than a year, but maybe more than 6 months. And, so we went to the track. At this time we were living out in LA. So we went to Fontana for a track day, and it was great. But like, it was there, like, learning and having our friend, my husband and our friend, like, teach me about like, what is the driving line and how do you see it? And how do you, like, when do you brake? When do you accelerate? Like, just all those things that I think you learn when you actually get behind and are trying to race on a track. It wasn't for like a prize or anything. It was just for fun. But at the same time, like, you want to push yourself, and it just has been awesome. And it's made you know, when I do drive for myself out on mountain roads and everything like that, it's just super fun. I'm very thankful for that. So if there's something that you want to do, go for it. I was 30 and I was like, I'm going to do this. So, you know, what's stopping you? Just do it. If it's something you want, who cares? Who cares what others think? Just go for it. I know that's easier said than done. But a lot of times it's things that sound super easy that maybe aren't, but it's worth it. It's always worth it to follow your gut, follow something you want to do. And if you have people in your life who want to hold you back, their problem, not yours. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to fill in all of these holes just because I don't want the white, because that's really going to show. So I'm going to get this first coat on, and then I will go in and do some detail. Put some paint down into those holes. So after the WRX, love that car, but I have to say the driving position on that car was not the best. I kind of always felt like I was in like this S shape because of just the seat position and everything like that. I mean, it was a good shifting position, but not the most amazing. So after the WRX, we ended up getting an M3, which was really fun, but way too much power. I think we only had it maybe 6 months before we realized like there's no way that it can use all this power. Like living in LA, it was, I mean, you get stuck in traffic so much. So it was really hard to use the power of that car. And when you did, you were up on somebody's tail so fast, like, you know, crazy. And then we took it to the track, and both of us on the track, this time we were out, it was, I don't remember. It'll come to me which track we were at. It just was like both of us kind of said, yeah, that's too much power. Like that's too much car. At like 500 and something horse, it just was too much. And so we both kind of agreed like, we're not even using all this power. It almost feels scary. Like the car is more capable than we are as drivers. So yeah, we ended up enjoying that car and then finding a new home for him. And then I got a GTI, which was actually really fun. Like that is a very fun, sporty, zippy, great car. I really enjoyed it. We were needing something a little bit more practical at the time, but it still gave all that fun factor to it. So that was pretty cool. Okay, so I have my first coat on. Okay, so I have my first coat on, and now I'm gonna just take one of my round tips, and I'm just gonna go into the holes because I don't want them to stay white. I'm just gonna drop the paint in and let it sit, and then I'll go back over with like a dry brush and do some cleanup. But this is the only time I'm gonna do it, so I'm okay if I just kind of drop some paint in there. And I guess this way you guys don't see the top of my head the whole time. sometimes I come all the way down here in order to see it, because I'm not wearing little magnifiers. I guess what's good about doing this detail work right now is it's giving that paint a chance to set and dry. So I am gonna have to let this black dry before I add all of the stencils, because I definitely, the last time on the first pair of shoes, I didn't let the paint dry long enough, like overnight, to let it set, and I put the stencils on, and then when I pulled up the stencils, it definitely pulled up some of the black, and I had to do more touch-up work than I really wanted to be doing. Not that I mind touch-up work, but it does definitely go kind of slow and methodical. So I'm going to try to avoid that this time by letting these shoes dry overnight before I actually put the stencils on. Okay. And sometimes I'll use a toothpick to just kind of, I mean, I don't want like pools of paint in these holes. Some of these holes are being quite stubborn. They do not want to be blacked out. They want to shine with white. That is looking really good. So we have the first coat on. It's looking really good, I think. I think it's looking nice. So the whole thing is black. Oh, one area I forgot is around the Nike. So I actually forgot that. Oops. Good thing I remembered. I also tend to go through if there's like any bits of stitching or anything like that that's poking up, I will usually nip that. Just like nip those little extra stitches off with the scissors. Okay, I'm gonna use the smaller brush around the Nike just because it's a little bit more detail work, and this is a hard one to get on camera, so sorry. I guess if I work here, yeah, you guys can see it there. So I know some of this shoe started out black, but I still go ahead and prepare that paint and paint over it because I want the consistency, and also too, like, depending on how the leather is finished, like, you don't want that black, if I, let's say, did nothing to it, you don't want it to look different from the black that you're painting on the shoe. So I feel it's, even if you're starting with that base, just go ahead and paint over the black with black. Started on the outside. So let's go to and because I already gave the all the edges such a good coating, I don't always feel like I have to go back in and do like that same heavy coating a second time around, unless I notice something, which is kind of why I do it the way that I do it. I like using the angle brushes for all of this work. I just think angle brushes work really, really well for customing shoes because you just can like get this nice, it just glides so easy. It just gives really good coverage. I feel like you can just really get clean lines with them. I think angle brushes are by far the thing that I paint with the most when I'm doing customs. Not too worried about going all the way into the eyelets. They already were purple on the inside of there, and so I feel as though they're dark enough. Plus, like the laces are gonna go through that, so I don't necessarily feel the need to go in and paint them. But if you, let's say, were going dark and they were really light and you didn't want that halo, I would definitely suggest maybe you want to go in and paint them. I'm going to hit this area with the heat gun, so if this folds back up, it's not going to pull that paint off. Excited to wear these shoes. Oh, I traded all my heels in for sneakers, y'all. I got rid of all my heels so long ago. And I have no intentions of wearing heels ever again. Sneakers have so much style and are so much more comfortable. I'll go for sneakers every time at this point in time. So I definitely think I'm going to take all of the footage of this however many hours, and I will put it into a shorter compiled video because I know it's a lot to watch this. But I think it's kind of cool because, like I said, you know, there's so many amazing artists and creatives doing custom work. It's phenomenal. Like, so many cool videos. Like I said, I'm kind of addicted to watching them. And you know, they're always like put together. They always have the edits, right? You always get to see like the best of the highlights, the highlight reel. Whenever as creators, we make, you know, videos and stuff like that. But I think like seeing the whole process and like how long it takes, because I don't know, maybe it's kind of like the Reddit thread or any of the other things where it's like Instagram versus reality, like the reality of doing something in real time versus an edited version of it. I think that concept was just very intriguing to me, which is why even though I've been tempted to be like, oh, maybe I'll just film ahead of time and do this. It's like, nope, I said I was going to do a whole pair of shoes live. So that is what I'm going to do. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting concept to play with. So thanks for sticking around. All right, you're getting like a lot of my hand. I will try to hold the shoe in a different way so it's easier for you to see it. In fact, I wonder if I can, I'm going to change my light really quick because I think sometimes that's why is I don't have it coming this direction. So let me change my light and see if that actually helps how I hold the shoe, because maybe it'll help how I'm actually seeing. Since I don't have my face on camera. Oh yeah, that makes it a lot easier for you to see what's happening. So I'm gonna leave the light there. It makes it easier for me to see, and it makes it easier for you to see. Maybe another reason to not have my face. All right, I'm gonna to change to a different playlist because that one was really short. But yeah, this is a big difference on the light. And this is where we started. This is why I paint. I tape with the base. Oops. Don't touch where you just, it's painted. Again, I'm gonna hit this with the heat gun so I can go ahead and, so it doesn't, when the flat closes, it doesn't stick, it doesn't mess with the paint. After this shoe, I won't be right away, but probably within the month, I will be, because we're in the process, in a couple weeks, we actually are relocating, which is going to be a cross-continent move from Asia to Europe. So once we get a little bit more settled and I know what my if the new space I'll be living in for a little while has a place that I can work, but as soon as I can, I will get started on another set of shoes. This one is for my husband. It's a new design that he came up with based on the Martini livery. So I'm really excited about that. That'll be a fun shoe. It's quite cheeky, the replica that we got. So I'm pretty excited about working on those shoes. Those will not be nearly as long because it doesn't require stencil work and it's not nearly as complicated of a design. But nonetheless, it's gonna be pretty killer. I think I already did this. And then I did the toe box, but let me work on that and then I'll go back and I'll do the heel. Martini shoe, yeah. I know you're super excited. You can't wait for your martini. My husband just made a comment. Hey, Austin. He just made a comment. Martini shoe. He's so excited. He's like, could you hurry up with your HKSs to finish my shoe? I know that this area like gets very covered by the laces and everything else, but I really enjoy doing all of like the really fine detail work, because for me, you know, when I don't want to wear these, they are very special and I will have them on display. I actually don't have that many shoes, so I have a white pair of fun sneakers. And then I will have these as my dark sneakers, even though they're not really dark. They're not black, but these will be my dark for black outfits. I'll have my other white ones, and that's kind of it right now. So yeah, I really like to do the detail work because there's just something about, I don't know, it's like the quality when like all the detail is there. To me, it just, detail work to me is what makes or breaks a design or a product. Okay, so again, this Nike area is difficult. It's just very, not difficult, but I do want to paint around the stitching. And I'm going to go over here because it's just too difficult to do it at that odd angle. Really wish I could just like wear a camera as like glasses or something so you guys could see exactly what I'm seeing, because I feel like that would just be so much better. Have you ever thought about that? Like, what do other people see? Like, how do they, like, literally, how do they see the world? Not like a figuratively, what is their interpretation? Like, when they look out of their eyes, how do they see it? And how does it differ from the way that I see it? That's very interesting to me. And what affects what we look at, what we see? I don't know. Shower thoughts. Y'all see where I spend my time? Okay, let's hit this with the heat gun. Then we are going to be done with coat 2, and we're going to be on to coat 3. Switched up the light just a little bit to see, get a little bit more light shedding on everything. Okay. Yeah, this is looking good so far. I'm just gonna do a third light coat just to make sure the black is all even, since that's our base. And then we just gotta let it dry. So I always blot out my my brush after rinsing it, because I don't want too much paint to be on there, but then I also don't want a wet brush because I don't want to be depositing the paint with like wet on it with water. So I don't want any streaking on the toe, so I'm just gonna wrap the toe here. I'll finish with the toe box. If I do it now, I'm gonna think that I haven't done it. See how there is a little bit of white under there? I want to make sure that gets covered. I always want to make sure the swoosh is very perfect, because that stays black. And then I have to remind myself, don't paint the swoosh. Don't paint the swoosh. Lovely. Don't want fingerprints, so let me just kind of dry brush over that. will make sure I come back and get the Nike logo, or the Nike embroidery taken care of. There's no way to do this side, so you guys can see. It always feels like, oh, things are going so fast. And then I look down at the clock and I'm like, oh, I've only been working for like X amount of hours. But I guess that's good because it means like I'm just getting lost and having fun. So I don't know if that ever happens to you, but I guess it's a good thing when you're working and you lose track of time and you're like, oh my gosh, this means you're really enjoying what you're doing. Okay. Get the toe box. I love this like rolled, how the leather just like has like this perfect roll on this shoe. I really like that. Switch to the number 4. And it was a little bit too wet, of course. Gonna need just a little bit more black paint. Just a couple drops to finish it off. the around the Nike stitching to do. It is painted. Now, let me do an assessment. Well, let me first hit it with the gun, because otherwise I'll probably start touching wet spots and be like, how come my hands are turning darker? I'm getting more and more black paint on them. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look. And so what I'm looking for right now is, I'll use this guy to point out. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm just looking at like all of my, like the seams, the joints, all of the different ledges to make sure I fully covered everything. If there's any other white or things sticking out, like right here. I don't know if you can see that, but like there's just like a little bit right there, so. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm just looking to make sure, does like everything look even? Did I miss any spots? Is there anything that looks uneven? And so far, like I'm not seeing anything. I have really good coverage. The only thing I'm deciding is, do these holes have enough paint? I'm gonna try a different technique this time, just using my toothpick to drop and push some paint into these holes, because I don't actually want white to be showing in there. So I think the toothpick is actually more effective, because I can drop a little bit in and like swish it around, where I can't do that with a paintbrush without just completely wrecking the paintbrush. So probably should have done it this way from the get-go, but that's okay. And if you so happen to be watching the playback, thank you for being here. If you want to ask me anything, you can ask me in the comments, and I will get back to you. Or if you just want to say hi, you can say hi in the comments too. I'd like to know what you think about not having my face on the video, but just having my voice. If you like being able to see more of what I'm doing. If you miss seeing my face as I'm talking and or the top of my head while I'm working, because I feel like that's what shows most of the time, let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Okay, that definitely gave better coverage in all of the holes. So that is good. I'm just gonna use the brush and just kind of dry brush over in case like any paint came out, you know, like came out and over the edges. But otherwise, I think we're good. Like the black looks good. That's 3 coats. Yeah, I just need to let it dry overnight. So I don't want to rush it. So I will be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably going to be a longer stream because I have all of the stencils. That's a light pink one. I have all the stencils, and that didn't even get put on camera. So I have all of the stencils that I am going to be placing on the shoe. So yeah, so all the stencils are going to get placed. I'll do the big ones first, and I always start with the green, and then the second round I do the smaller ones, which are purple. These obviously I use the reverse, so I've already printed them out. And so tomorrow will be longer because I will be stenciling it up and then painting the stencils, but tomorrow hopefully I can get through the majority of the green. Yeah, because these bad boys are going to be looking like these bad boys soon, and I'm really excited about that. Oh yeah, let's see. Okay. That is not a good camera angle. Yeah, so thank you. Or I guess I'll come here for a second. So thank you for joining me today as we got the first layer on. So, oh wait, they go like this. I got both my shoes. And tomorrow we are going to stencil these guys up. So yeah, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. All right, thanks.